Well, I guess we're live again. Hey knitters. Yep, it's kind of been a while, and that's okay. My glasses are dirty, my haircut is uneven, and we're in the time of coronavirus. So, hey knitters. Guess what? It's been a minute, and I'm kind of back for the moment, so we'll see how long this lasts, but yeah. I'm sitting here on the floor in my guest room / knitting room and thought I'd give you an update on what I've been working on and some other stuff. I'm trying out this new-ish camera. I bought it last year when I had aspirations of doing a lot more, and then I got super busy with work, so that didn't happen. But here we are now. I've got a little bit of a note set up here. I've got a coffee. I've got all of these projects that you can't see around me. My home gym stuff is right here. And yeah, so we got some stuff to talk about. Let's start. So let's just acknowledge the elephant in the room, shall we? There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and knitting is, well, it's not the most important thing in the world, and it certainly isn't. People have a lot of stuff on their minds. There are a lot of other places to spend money for a lot of people. There are a lot of other concerns. For me, I think it's bringing me a lot of solace. It's giving me something to do along the way. But I just want to acknowledge and thank a lot of our frontline workers, people that need to leave the home to actually do something, whereas I don't currently. So I've got time to do these things, recognize not everybody does, so in no way, shape, or form is this anything other than a way of saying thank you to those of you who are out there, who could maybe use a few minutes away from the stress and drama that has become a lot of our everyday lives now. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for everybody who's reached out and has asked me when I'm going to record again. It's been a while, there's been a lot of change going on, but I'm back-ish. I won't commit to doing this full-time permanently because, I don't know, I'm trying to find an easy way to do this where it's calm and casual and relaxed and conversational without being like a big to-do, because that just, it just causes more stress that we don't really need, and that I don't really need right now. But this is fun, and I kind of want it to be fun. This is why we're sitting on the floor and we're just hanging out. So I would be doing this with my friends, so guess what? You get to do that too. If you see me reach over, I've got my iPad here with my notes that I want to talk about, so I don't want to miss anything. So, few updates first. Comments are always appreciated, but I can't commit and guarantee that I'm going to respond to everybody. Sometimes comments are inappropriate, or you know, they're just not worthy of being responded to, so I just might let those lie. I've got my hands full sort of already keeping myself together, and I don't need to necessarily add all that extra pressure, nor does anybody else. So if you do have a comment, feel free. Just realize that sometimes it may take me a while to get back to you, so there's that. The other thing I was going to mention is that a lot of people feel a bit guilty sometimes, I think, especially now, about spending money on yarn or a hobby or a craft. And you know what? I say it. If you're going to enjoy it, enjoy it. It makes me happy. I'm not starving myself. I'm not depriving anybody else of anything. And you know what? I did put some pressure on myself, like, oh, I really shouldn't be doing this, but there are some really great programs out there that are meant to help support our local yarn stores, to help keep them alive, some independent folks as well. So, you know what, if I'm going to spend a little bit of money, I'm going to spend a little bit of money. It's totally fine. Yes, I dropped an F-bomb there. I probably will have bleeped that out, but you know what? Real. So, whatever. Rules are out the window. For those of you who are new, and there may be some of you, I don't know, my name is Eric. I should really introduce myself first. My name is Eric. I live here in Toronto with my partner Sebastian. Both of us are pretty much off work right now because of COVID-19. And yeah, so I am on Ravelry as EPLUTZ. I am active there in that I do update my projects and all of that sort of stuff there. But I'm most active on Instagram, where I can be found as e.p.lutz. Yeah, so that's that piece. One other thing that I want to do is sort of a bit of a housekeeping thing is I'm not necessarily going to be the best at editing this to include every single pattern and colorway and all that sort of stuff. Here's the thing, people. We're all adults. Presumably, if you're watching this, you know how to work a computer or, you know, a smart TV or something else. Find the pause button, pause it. I will tell you what they are, but pause it and take a note. Part of this is I'm doing this for free. I don't even monetize right now, and I probably should, but whatever, who can be bothered? But here's the deal. Put your knitting down for half a sec, make a note, and write it down. You know, if I don't mention it and there's something that you'd like to know, absolutely feel free to reach out. But, you know, we're all grown-ups. You know how to write, presumably. So we can all figure that stuff out together. Cool. Fair deal? Good. One last thing is I'm going to try and keep these relatively short because editing is a bit of a bear, and I personally prefer when people keep things edited tightly as opposed to just rambling on. Rambling on is fine when you're just, you know, shooting with a friend. However, when it comes to this sort of thing, I got knitting to do. You know, I got dinner to make, I got groceries to get, and you know what? Grocery shopping is not like it used to be. Grocery shopping used to be like, dash across the street and away you do. Not anymore. So, let's just, you know, be kind to one another and have at it. So, all that to say, I'm going to start with a bunch of knitting that I finished up. I have been churning out the FOs like a demon. Some stuff that I'm working on. I've got quite a bit of stuff that I brought in that I'm quite happy about, so I'm going to sort of space some of that out into maybe future episodes. And yeah, so maybe you'll find a couple of patterns that you enjoy, that you like, and maybe you find something new to knit and we can knit together. So with that said, let's start with some of the finished objects. One of the first finished objects that I wanted to share with you is the Destination Unknown shawl by Cheryl Faust. I saw this pattern when it was released, even before it was released, I guess, and fell in love with it immediately and knew that I had to have one for myself. So I ordered the yarn, I picked it up, and it sat in stash for a little bit, and then I just got into some of my, I hate using the word binge, because that sort of has a negative connotation to it, but in some of my binge knitting and TV watching, I did finish this watching the 4th season of The Expanse, I think, on Amazon Prime, and which kind of is appropriate considering they were going to Destination Unknown. So it's done in Spin Cycle. This is the colorway Stay Ready with Puri in Kettle by Brooklyn Tweed, and it is a mosaic knit. It's very intuitive by the time you sort of get through the first maybe 3 or 4 repeats. You kind of know what to do. I did make one mistake on it that I couldn't quite figure out how to fix, but you know what? It's fine. Even I have a hard time finding it now. I have been terrible about blocking things, I'm not going to lie. I am not good at blocking things lately. So it's not been blocked, but you know what? It's comfortable and I like it. It's not actually as big as I thought it was going to be, but I find a lot of patterns that I thought would be bigger on me look quite small actually, and that will bring me to my next finished object that I'll show you next. So the next finished object is this amazingness, which is the Shift Cowl by Andrea Mowry. It's actually, this is one that I thought was going to be a little bit bigger and turned out to be a little bit smaller. I like it a lot. It's really, really nice, and I have to say, Spin Cycle, this was only the 2nd project that I used the yarn in, and wow does it transform. Once you block it, this has been blocked, once you block it, it just gets into this super light, almost ethereal kind of fabric. I really love wearing this. I should wear it more often, but I don't leave the house that much these days, so I don't really have anywhere to go. But this is done in 3 colors of dyed in the wool. And I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get these colors right. Rusted Rainbow, which is my favorite color by far that they use. Labradorite, and Stay Ready. Now it's interesting, I will say that because these gradients are super, super, super long, it's really important to, I think, pick the end that you want to work with when you are starting to knit with it and sort of plan the colors out. I've seen a lot of these particular cowls, I know it's a bit of an older pattern, that look a bit like a hot mess, that are just like, ooh, those did not come out well. 90% of them I think are fantastic, and you kind of have to be open to the experimentation and seeing how that comes out. But I'm really pleased with this, and the colors, I just love it. I can't wait for fall now to wear them, although it feels very much like a fall day. Today's May 9th, by the way, and we had snow in Toronto. Go figure. Anyway, that's another finished object, and I have more. And moving on from Spin Cycle, and Andrea Mowry, this one is the Interval Shawl by Brooklyn Tweed. This is from their new pattern collection called BT by Brooklyn Tweed, that are really super accessible, easy to knit, straightforward, very much beginner patterns with sort of extensive explanation, but not so much that you get overwhelmed. Like, I have a pattern for a sweater from Brooklyn Tweed that's 28 pages long, which is kind of crazy. This is like 4 pages, and I think that's their commitment for all of the BT by Brooklyn Tweed patterns. So they'll be 4 pages or less. This is done in Arbor in the color Rainier. Rainier is, I guess, like Mount Rainier, the mountain, I guess. But I really love this one. It was a super fast knit, and it comes in 2 sizes. This is the smaller size. This one has not yet been blocked. Shame on me, whatever. But you know what? It's really, really cozy. It's comfortable. I would have, I think, in retrospect, preferred to have knit the larger version, just because being a guy, I'm a little bit bigger, and sometimes they feel a bit small and a bit dainty, and I'd like something a little bit bigger that's going to actually hold on a little bit better. This one I kind of feel like I should probably pin or get a clip or something just to hold it on properly. It's sitting fine here as I'm just sat here, but I might do that in future. Anyway, love this one. It's super squishy, 1 color, a couple of skeins. I don't know if they're free patterns right now, but they were offering the BT patterns for free for a while because of the whole COVID thing. But anyway, great pattern, loved it, and I'll show you yet another one. On the subject of cowls that look like shawls, this is the Paris and Berlin cowl by Hohi Locatelli. I've had this skein of yarn in stash since, I think, 2016, maybe 2015. For the very first Toronto Knitters Guild, the Knitters Frolic that I went to, and I really, really, really like it. This is Studio Lou in Tiptoe in pickling season, which is, I feel like, just such a really cool color name. It really does feel like dill pickles, and actually it really goes well, I think. I'm looking on my monitor. It goes well with this blue t-shirt. Anyway, this pattern, I really, really liked it too. Did I knit it perfectly? Probably not. Did I make some mistakes on it? Probably. Was I watching all kinds of TV when I made it? Yep, you bet I was. But you know what? It's fine. I love it. It's cozy. It's actually quite close to the neck, which I know some knitters really like. For me, it turned out quite close to the neck, and I really like it because it's quite soft. Yes, I should block it. The ends where the garter section is could probably use a bit of straightening out. But you know what? Again, it's fine. I'm really comfortable with it, and I like it. So, highly recommend the pattern. Now, the next finished object I'm going to share with you is one that was sort of a bit of a group effort. My wonderful friend Sandy, Sandy by the Lakeside, who sells her gorgeous, gorgeous bags. There's a couple right here, and I have a whole bunch of them up on the top of the bookcase that are actually full of whips that I probably should finish at some point. Anyway, besides the point, she actually suggested that maybe we do the Vertices Unite shawl by Stephen West. It uses a lot of stash. It's 5 different colors. It's a big project. It was supposed to sort of last us for a while. Yeah, I think I finished it in 2 weeks. But it's all garter, and it's amazing. It is a lot of fun. He's got a new pattern out. What the heck is it called? Triangle something. That's similar construction style. So it is, I'm going to show you the back first, and I'm going to show you the finished object. There's all of these kinds of segments and sections that you build on by picking up a slip-stitched edge, which I just showed you. Actually a bit of a boo-boo I made in there, but whatever, it's on the wrong side. And I picked up all of this yarn at Vogue Knitting Live in 2019 when I was there with Sandy, surprise, and it's all in plucky cashmere. It's in their Primo fingering, so it's got cashmere, it's MCN. 100% MCN from tip to tip. I gotta say, guys, it starts out actually with this section right here, the blue and sort of maroon wine color, and then you move on to section 2, which is this gray and teal, and then the ochre color, which is just gorgeous. I love this. Love, love, love this. And yeah, it is a weird shape in total. I'll put a picture in here as well so you can see how it all comes together. It has an amazing I-cord bind off. It's all garter, so it's fun and it's squishy, and you can wind it and wrap it, and it's cozy. And I can't wait to make another one someday. Not today because I have too many other projects on the go, but it is eminently wearable. It's cozy. It's a huge stash buster. I say go for it. If you've already made one, go for another one of his patterns, like the new one that's just out, and I'll throw a link in somewhere here or something so you can know what it is. But yeah, I loved it. In fact, I am now making a Vertices Unite baby blanket for a friend of mine and his wife who are having a baby. And I picked a wild, crazy, mid-century modern 1963 wants its colorways back kind of throwback color palette that I don't know if they know what they're in for. They just said, we'll leave it up to you, just do something cool. So it's going to be cool. I can't show it to you now because I want to finish it. They want to be surprised. So it's going to be really cool. I'm actually doing that one in Knit Picks Swish DK because although this one is made in fingering weight, the baby blanket is made in DK. And I ordered all of that from Knit Picks, which came actually pretty quickly. And I wanted something that they could just literally just drop in the washing machine and not have to worry about. So I'm working on that. Eventually I will show you that one too. If you are on Ravelry, I do have a Ravelry page set up for it, a project page set up for it, so you can take a look there. I just don't want to share it here just in the off chance that he decides to poke around and look at this, and I don't want you to look, Mike. No looking, no cheating. And yet there's more to share. So now we're moving on to hats. One of the best things, maybe one of the only things that's a total advantage when you have no hair, is that you can wear hats with a band in and not even worry about what hat head looks like. So although you'll have to forgive the current state of the haircut, there's a few patchy pieces, and I did it myself. Surprise. But I can test and show you hats without any problems. So this one is the custom, I think, what the heck is this one called? This one is by, it's the Custom Slogan Hat by Clinton Hill Cashmere. And I was gifted a couple of skeins of this wonderful yarn from Maria and Bruna at the Knitting Loft here in Toronto. They are amazing people. Thank you so much for that. And I'm bougie enough to actually have, decided to put cashmere as the word on my hat. I'm gonna try and do this so you can see. Starts cash. No, maybe. There we go. Anyway, it does say cashmere on it, so it's totally bougie. I love it. I don't give a rat's ass. Who cares? It's fun and it's super warm and it's super comfortable, and I actually need to wear it more often. I really, really like this hat. Anyway, that's hat number 1. So I'm not even going to pause. We're just going to go right into the next one. And I'm going to show you, this is the Cloudline hat by Brooklyn Tweed. This is another one of their BT by Brooklyn Tweed patterns, and uses a couple of skeins, colorways anyway, of Piri, and you basically hold them together to create a marl. I had some leftover Piri from other projects that I was working on, so I threw them together. This is, as I go back to my notes, hold on, just stand by. I know it's morel, as in morel mushroom, and hammock. That's the lighter color. And it's just a really nice, fun, cute little hat. You can see it's got, you know, it's got a nice brim, it's got nice detail to it. But here's the cool thing about this one, it's actually reversible. So that's the stockinette side that I'm showing you there. And if you reverse it, you get the shock reverse stockinette side. And you get a completely different look on this side as you do from the first one. And I actually think I'm looking at myself in the mirror right now, in the closet mirror. I actually quite like this as well. So, again, this one is a great stash buster. If you have leftover fingering weight, and let's face it, if you're a sock knitter, you've got a ton of it, and I know you do, this would be a great project for using up a lot of those things. So that's a pretty awesome one. Love that. Goes in the pile. I also did a broken tweed preview knit of the Ribsy hat by Gudrun Johnson. It's all ribs of different kinds. There's reverse rib, there's broken rib, all kinds of stuff on it. I did not have quite enough of the base color, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten what color these are. I lost the band somewhere. It actually might be my Ravelry project, so check it out there. So I just started slipping in a couple of extra stripes of, this is again, I think, some leftover of the hammock colorway, which I thought was kind of fun and maybe useful. It's really nice to wear because it's so ribbed, it's really quite nice and loose. So it feels like something you could wear all day without going, oh, hat headache. You ever get those? I do. Anyway, so those are hats. While we're here, I can just reach right here and show you a pair of mittens that I made. These are the Ghostwood mittens by, oh my gosh, who did these ones? Ghostwood mittens, Ghostwood mittens. They are by Kiyomi Bergen. Oh my god, how could I forget? Sorry, Kiyomi. I bought the yarn for these at Emily Foden's, who is Viola Yarns. I bought this at her open house last summer, and it was a kit that was put together. So this is her MCN worsted in Elephant and mohair lace in Frozen Earth. And it is really fluffy and fuzzy, and I don't even know if this is going to focus. Sorry, new camera, I'm not sure what I'm doing. But I really, really like this. I made them actually over Christmas for my mother-in-law, and I only had 1.5 done by the time she had to go back to Quebec, and we forgot to send them to her. So, sorry, she'll have them for next winter. But they are really, really nice. I'm surprised at how much the lace mohair actually just disappears when after you've knit it. It just kind of like adds this amazing fuzz to it, and it was the first time I think I'd actually knit with mohair, which I wasn't sure if I was going to like, and I actually turned out to like it quite a bit, although it does make me sneeze, it does get up my nose, and the little fluff when you're knitting goes everywhere. But if you can get past that, it's a lot of fun. So, that is it for finished projects at the moment. I've got a lot of things in progress that I'm going to share just now. So we're going to go from maybe bigger projects down to smaller projects. I'm not including socks right now just because I have a sock project that I started and I put it down, and now I've forgotten what I was supposed to do with it, and I feel like unfortunately I'm going to have to just rip it out and start again because I really want the project, I really want these socks, and I don't want to screw it up, so I might have to do that. Anyway, so we're going to start with bigger projects and go to smaller. I started working on the Once in Floral sweater by Maxim Cyr before Knit City Montreal was supposed to happen, and I was meant to go with a bunch of people, and we were going to have a great time, and I was going to wear my wonderful sweater to Max and Vincent, to their design class that I got into, and then COVID happened and none of this started happening. So I put away the sweater in sort of a moment where I was just letting myself feel the feels, and then I picked it back up just recently, and all I had left to do when I sort of threw it in a bag and said, you know what, I just don't want to look at this right now, all I had left to do were the sleeves. So I finished all of the principal knitting of the color work. The collar gets knit on afterwards. I have stitches on hold on this side, and I've got about a half a sleeve on this side done. This is entirely in Brooklyn Tweed Peary, and I think it's Humpback, and this is Kettle is the black, and Humpback is the white, and the gray is, no, sorry, Hammock is the white, and Humpback is the gray. That's the colors. And here's the thing though, in case you haven't noticed, I've lost a little bit of weight since maybe the last time you saw me. And I cast this on when I was still a certain size, and I've lost more weight since then, and now I'm kind of afraid it's going to be a little too big. Not that that's a bad thing, it just means like, oh, okay, I hope I still feel good in it, but it is what it is. I'm going to still wear it. It's going to be super warm and maybe a little too long, but it's going to be a good cozying up winter sweater for sure. Without being too warm, because it's not, it's fingering weight, which for a guy, I will say, I am never making another fingering weight sweater for myself. It's too much work. But it is getting there. It's really good TV knitting for when I'm just like, we're powering through seasons of stuff and I just need to knit. So that's what that one's for. So, excuse me while I pop this over there, because I got a lot more to show you guys. A lot more. The next one I'm going to show you is another bit of a stash buster for me. I have wanted to make this pattern for a really long time, and it's still in its infancy. Because I allowed myself at some point, going through all of this COVID-19 and businesses being shut, including mine, that I was just going to cast on whatever I felt like without any guilt. And if I have 65 different whips in motion, I don't care. It is what it is. Right now it's about what does my brain and my soul need, and what that needed was a lot of easy knitting. But I also wanted stuff that's going to be productive and stuff that I was going to like to wear. So the Camp Wilkerson shawl, or wrap, by Caitlin Hunter was one that I've been wanting to make for a long time. It's this asymmetrical arrow shape that, it's actually probably easier to see the arrow if I hold it upside down, that gets a bit of a garter border, it gets a stockinette section, another garter border, and it's 4 colors. And this is done in DK, and I gotta say, I was sent some yarn by Annie Perrin from Montreal. The gray is called Records, and the blue is called, I want to say Homestead. I'm just going to check my notes. Just to be clear, because I don't want to mess that up, because Annie's yarn is ridiculously fun. Records and Homestead, look at that, I was right. And it's soft, it feels, although it doesn't necessarily have cashmere in it, it feels very cashmere-y. But I also am adding in some yarn I picked up at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival a couple of years ago when I went. That is Blacker Yarns in their, oh, it's fluffy, a BFL DK in Natural Fleece. I've got a couple skeins of those, and another skein of, this is the Organic Merino DK by Viola, Emily Foden's yarn company, in P, that I picked up also last summer when I went to her open house. I can't wait. Can't wait for this. Now, I gotta say, I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that really attracts me usually to a pattern is when it's made in a color or a colorway or a combination of colors that I really, really enjoy. And although I don't necessarily need to make exactly the same, Destination Unknown was exactly the same as the sample that I saw. I just fell in love with it, and I wear a lot of black, and I thought it would be appropriate for that. But I do like to put my own twist on some of the colors. So the Camp Wilkerson shawl is like with this beautiful teal, and it's got a green, and it's got a gray and white. And these are the ones that I happen to have in stash, so I was really, really happy to be able to sort of put my own taste to the color selection. But I don't know how you feel about that. I really like doing that because it, I don't know, it just makes me feel like I'm I fell in love with the pattern and the design for the colors that are there. Not always, but sometimes. So anyway, when it's multiple color projects, I find that's more the case. When it's single color projects, I just sort of pick the ones I want. So there's that. The next one I'm going to show you is the Satellite Shawl by Andrea Mowry. This one is yarn that I picked up at Vogue Knitting this year, and it's still just a little baby shawl because I put it down for some reason and I haven't really picked it back up. I don't know why. I love it. I love all the colors. It's all in La Bien-Aimée, which the original sample was in as well. And Justin Kim picked out the colors with me, which is great. Thank you so much for your help. And I love it. So it's got this pop of tang, which I would never, ever, ever choose for me. It's got Winterfell, which is her navy blue color that I absolutely love. I'm wondering if I wrote down the rest of them. No, I did not. They're my Ravelry project. That I know for sure. This is going to be something that I'm going to really enjoy wearing. It'll be more of a special occasion-y thing, but I love it. There's something to be said. I think I even bought new needles for it. Oh, I did. Look at that. How smart am I? I love how soft and how light it is because there's a lot of mohair in it. It feels very warm, but it's going to be super, super lofty. So if you want a little bit of a closer peek, there's one of the colors. That's Tang. Oh my god, look at that. There's the really soft, powdery blue. And then Winterfell, which is just like, love it. I wound all of this at Vogue and cast it on while I was there because why not? I will say it lives in one of my newest favorite field bags. Actually, this is a town bag by Fringe Supply Co. in army green, top to bottom. Love it, love it, love it. I've actually got 3 of these now. I'm kind of slightly horrified to say. I have the army green. I've got a all black. They had an all black version, and I have the black one with the white handles that I ended up trading Sandy. Sandy, of course, from Sandy by the Lakeside. So anyway, I love this one. Army green is not the only. It's not only in the bag. It's also in the camo wax bag, which is my next project, another Andrea Mowry project. This one is the Moonwake cowl, which is basically this color tube. This is a kit that I purchased from Mayak, which I ordered online, and it got here literally just before all of the postal services were slightly disrupted in Canada. This is fun. I will say it's a fun project. I have finished one full repeat. Unfortunately, I started where I thought was a repeat, and it turned out it wasn't a repeat, and I screwed something up, and I had to actually rip back a big, big chunk of it. So, pro tip, I put in a lifeline after the fact, just picked up every other leg, so that when I ripped back, I would have a proper stopping point. Actually, I think, no, it wasn't even a lifeline. I put in a sock needle. That's what I did. I'm trying to think of what I did. It was a sock needle that I just popped all the way through so that it would stop the ripping process where I wanted it to stop without feeling like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So, made it easier, obviously, but it lives in my... This is one of my favorite bags. Absolutely love it. Yeah, it's, you know, it's super masculine, but it doesn't have to be. This, I will also say, is my first time using Mayak, and I'm really surprised at how much I like it. It has sort of the toothiness of... There's actually popcorn in there. Whoops. It has some of the toothiness of like shelter. It feels sort of like that, but much softer. It's like a kinder, gentler shelter. So I'm loving it. Again, I don't pick it up very often because I find color work while I'm watching TV is a bit of a challenge. So I don't often go to that route, and lately we've been watching a lot of TV because what else do you do at night? So yeah, there's that one. But wait, there's more. So if that wasn't enough knitting already, I did pick up a couple more sweaters quantities along the way that I'll share with you either in this episode or later. We'll see how long this thing starts going. But one of the things that I really wanted to talk about was how much I appreciated Brooklyn Tweed and their Apart Together initiative that was really meant to assist local yarn stores with staying open and alive during this pandemic. And I purchased a bunch of yarn from my local yarn shop that carries Brooklyn Tweed. I also ordered a sweaters quantity and was able, from Brooklyn Tweed directly, and was able to allocate their, they call it a kickback, so I'll use their phraseology. I was able to allocate the kickback directly to my local yarn store that does carry BT. And so I ordered what I thought was enough, and it's clear to me now that it will not be enough. So we're going to need more yarn, but that's okay. So I fell in love with this idea of doing a log cabin blanket. And I didn't want to just do like a little lap throw. I have plenty of those sorts of things, either in the works or shawls that are big enough that I use for that sort of purpose. But I kind of wanted a bigger blanket. So I started looking up and I found the Mason-Dixon Knitting modern log cabin blanket, which is a sort of a deconstructed, reimagined idea of constructing this knitted piece using blocks of color. And I'm a huge fan of the Hudson's Bay Company. They are one of the oldest department stores in the world. They are 350 years old on the day that I cast on the project, which just happened to be like a really happy circumstance. I wasn't planning on casting it on right away, but when the birthday came up, I thought, well, of course, this means I have to do it. So I have cast on the modern log cabin blanket. Now, it is written for DK weight, not worsted, but I wanted something a little more substantial, so I've adapted the pattern for worsted weight. I kind of did some of the maths. I cast on. I realized that if I used just literally a 1-to-1 DK to worsted, it was going to be gigantic, like king size. And I'm not doing that. I don't want to spend the next 5 years knitting this thing. So I decided to sort of do my own maths, and I've created a spreadsheet. Yes, I'm a little nerdy like that, and figured out what the ratios of rows were to make sure that the construction principles stayed solid. So I cast on, which way is up? Technically, this way is up. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get this fully in frame. No, I'm not. However, I will insert a picture somewhere around here so you can sort of see what it looks like at this point. The picture won't have the green in, but that's okay. You'll use your imagination. So the Hudson's Bay Company, their brand is basically based around the point blanket idea, which has 4 colors to it. Red, yellow, blue, and green. And those colors were really able to be reproduced really easily. They were cheap dyes that they could use at the time. And it's become an iconic symbol for Canadiana, for the Hudson's Bay Company. So I've interpreted those colors using Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. And I've used Almanac for the blue, Long Johns for the red, Hayloft for the yellow, and Artifact for the green. I'm going to tell you right now, the blue square measures 11.5 inches by 11.5 inches. When this thing is done, if that proportion stays, and it should hold true across the entire piece, this is going to be almost big enough for a queen-size bed, which I'm kind of horrified by, because what have I got myself into? But I'm kind of like, well, it's too late to turn back now, so let's just go for it. And see how we turn out, and see what I like about it. I will put in a picture sort of the colorway that I had planned to do. I've changed the order slightly, and I kept the original colors that were recommended in the pattern for the most part, but I decided to switch up one of them. Originally this red block was meant to be green, and I felt like I wanted a better central representation of the colors. So that's where it's sitting right now. I've just put on a couple of rows of the green, And I gotta say, it's simple. There's no slipped edge to remember, which is not that hard, but there's no slipped edge. It is literally knitting the entire piece, other than picking up for the next block when you're picking up the stitches. There's nothing hard about this thing. It is stockinette for months to go. There is a really, really handy blog post that Stephanie Pearl McPhee has on the Yarn Harlot blog about how to pick up stitches in edging on garter stitch, which someone on my Instagram actually commented and said, oh, how neat are your edges. The only reason my edges are this neat is because I followed Stephanie's instructions. So surprise, surprise. Right now, for the time being, while it is this size, it is living in, guess what, another fringe bag. This is the Wax Canvas in Natural. It will not live in here for very long. It's going to outgrow this very, very quickly. That said, I'm really happy with it so far. I think it's a great project. I do have a couple more swatches, but I'm going to save those for another episode, which means there might be another one. Let me know if you want to see another episode. If you give a thumbs up, then I'll know that you do. If you give a thumbs down, I'll know that you won't, and I won't waste my time or yours. But if you do want to see another episode, please do that. And if you want to know if there's another episode up, hit the subscribe bell button somewhere on this page. And yeah. So that's about it for today. I think that we've covered enough. We've caught up. We've talked about, you know, the big elephant in the room is that we're all sort of stuck at home and waiting for the other shoe to drop. And, you know, do we get to ever leave our homes again? Yes, we will. Of course we will. It's just going to take some time and some patience. A commodity of which I am in serious lack most times, but today, talking to you guys feels a little less alone, a little more social, and just a little more human. So thank you for your time, thank you for spending time with me, and we'll see you in the next video.